As you know, I'm Kindson the genius, and at the end of 40 days, you should be able to move from zero to intermediate level of data science, or from basic to the intermediate level of data science. But at the end of today, you should be able to set up all the tools we need for data science in 40 days. So as a researcher, I've determined that the best way to learn data science is by breaking it down into several chunks or into different subtopics and taking it one day at a time. I worked on creating this outline, but I will give it to you at day one. This is not day one, this is simply an introduction to the course. So I worked on creating this. It's going to contain practicals, it's going to contain labs, it's going to contain modules that we are going to be going through every day. So I'm not going to waste your time reading out this to you, and also I try to also create another outline. I'm going to make it available to you as well. So the only tool you need is called Anaconda. So Anaconda is a distribution of Python, but it contains all the tools you need. So I'm not going to spend time to show you how to download and install Anaconda, but you can actually find Anaconda for free. You can install it on Windows if you are using Windows, or Mac if you are using Mac. I've already installed it, and that is exactly what you are going to do after now. So in this class, in this introductory class, we are going to simply check that all the tools are installed and they are working correctly. So once you install Anaconda in your system, it's going to give you a program called Anaconda Navigator. That is a platform that provides different tools like Jupyter Notebook. The Python distribution is already included there, and it also gives you PyCharm, RStudio, and other things. Now, this is the Anaconda Navigator interface. Once you install Anaconda, you have this interface. Now you can see different programs there or applications there. For instance, we have Jupyter Lab. We are going to be talking about it a little later towards the end of this course. Now, once you install Anaconda for the first time, all these programs will have a button called Install. Now you need to install all of them, so that once you install all of them, you now have a button called Launch. In the initial part of this course, in the first 10 days, we are going to be focusing on using Jupyter Notebook, PyCharm, and in the 10, 11 to 20 maybe, we are going to talk about R. R is more or less a different programming language that provides you a way to write scripts to analyze your data. So why we may need R is because if you perform an analysis in Python, and you also do the same thing in R, you should be able to confirm your results and make sure that your results are correct. So at this point, I expect that after this class, try to set up Anaconda and try to download or install all these other applications. Basically, to install it, simply click on the install button here and wait for a while. So let me open Jupyter Notebook. So I'm going to launch it now, and that is the main tool we are going to be using for this class. And while it's opening, I'm also going to show you that I'm going to also be using my whiteboard along the line. So if something requires a bit of explanation, we are going to use the whiteboard. And for you, I recommend you have a notebook like this. You have a notebook and a pen, because actually data science requires a bit of analytics way of thinking. So if you're always sitting on the keyboard and the mouse, maybe you have to get a notebook so that you can actually do bits of writing at some point that we are going to be using it. For me, I'm going to do the same thing in my whiteboard. So if I'm going to be doing it on my whiteboard, we are going to be doing it on the notebook. If it requires for me to stand up and actually do some explanation, I'm actually going to use my board, the physical board, right behind me to explain to you. If you have any question whatsoever, you need to leave it for me under the video for each of the day that we have covered. So as I said, let's test the applications we are going to be using. Now we have Jupyter Notebook opens right here. So to create a notebook, you have R and Python, you simply create a Python 3 notebook and it opens in this way. So test it and make sure it works. To change the name, simply click on this Untitled and give it a name like this. Once you give it a name, it persists. So make sure you can do these basic things in Python. Now the next tool I want us to also make sure it works is called PyCharm. PyCharm is just an IDE, just like Eclipse or any other IDE you might think of. So I'm going to launch it. I'm just going to show you how it works as well. So once you launch it and make sure it works, and that is fine, it means we are ready to start with day one. So this is the IDE opens here, and you can simply start a new project, give it a name. Let me just call it day one or day zero, and leave everything at default. Okay, so I'm going to create this at this point. So once you create the project is created, and then you can now close this tip. You can now start creating Python files. Python files has extension .py. Okay, so basically, so I have something I'm already working on before. So you can simply go to right click and say new and choose Python file and give it a name. Maybe I give it the same name, and this is day zero. I can say print welcome to day zero, and to run it you simply right click and run day zero, and you see it comes out here. So make sure that this works for you, and make sure that Jupyter Notebook works for you as well. So what I would like you to do is to leave me a comment, let me know if there's something you need to change or something you want me to improve on, because this is actually introduction, not day one. Day one starts 7 days from now. So I'm going to give 7 days from now, and we are going to kick off this class. So if you are joining me, let me know in time by leaving me a comment. I also recommend you subscribe so that you get notified immediately if this class is published. So this is basically where I'm going to end. I'd like to recommend you keep in mind data science takes some effort. It requires you to think analytically, it requires you to be smart. So it's not something easy, you simply pay some money and buy a course and become a data scientist. No, it takes some effort on your part. And let's do this together. And I promise you at the end of 40 days, you move from zero or basic level of data science to intermediate level of data science, where you should be able to download data or obtain data sets for free, analyze this data set, clean them up, do some bits of data engineering, create visualization for your data, and provide summaries of your data. So let's do this together. Keep in mind, I remain Kindson the genius, and I'm always there for you.